appointments, Kathleen Kelby and Nicholas Reardon.
I would move to approve the request for appointment of Kathleen Kelby and Nicholas Reardon to the Recreation Commission, terms to expire June 30th, 2024.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, discussion and possible vote for the South Shore Race Management 5K Mardi Gras Madness for Saturday, July 20th.
I would move to approve the use of the town roads by South Shore Race Management on Saturday, July 20th, 2024, starting at 6 a.m. on Hoppemock, Standish, Lake, Plain, Valley, and Forest Streets, subject to the approval and conditions of the Pembroke Police Department.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the minutes of February 21st and February 22nd.
I would move to approve the minutes of February 21st and February 22nd, 2024.
Second.
All right, motion made.
We should do them separately, because that was not at,
Okay,
Oh, okay.
so for the 21st,
I would move to approve the minutes of February 21st, 2024.
Second.
all right, motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstain?
abstain.
I would move to accept the minutes of February 22nd, 2024.
Second.
All right, motion made, seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Bill, you want me to skip the town manager's
Yeah.
report too?
I don't have a lot different. Let's go back to budgets.
Oh, you ready for that?
I am.
All right.
Bear with me 1 second, this keyboard always acts up. What's that?
I was gonna say, that's a short password.
It appears to be.
Pass. P-A-S-S.
No, it's,
It was,
855.
Ah, yes, that's right.
okay. Never mind.
If we had an IT department, it'd be a good time to bring them in.
I'm in, well,
it's frozen again.
I asked for a new keyboard. I use a different keyboard upstairs, but
There was spare keyboard upstairs?
I have one on my desk that I use for this thing, which I might have to go grab.
The thing would be all over the floor and window and walls if I owned it.
All right, let me go grab that.
We'll get there.
My company implemented a dual verification, so as soon as you open up your laptop, you have to wait for the app to come on your phone. And
Yep. Yep, that's the way though.
And laptops have Face ID?
Let's hold a picture.
Yeah.
A little better than that.
The keys are much better. The security keys, that's really,
Authenticator's fine.
yep. Authenticator's good,
Or better.
but like having a physical, like the USB key and then authentication through there, that's a pretty good feature too. You can have the key and the authenticator if you really want to go.
Iris detector.
In a lockbox. No one can use it.
Iris detector.
Cold storage, as we call it.
Well, Bill's getting set up. We'll just go down to old business. There's an item on the agenda here that I have not drafted a letter. I was working on a different letter, and then I found out that it's a moot point, so I stopped. So this one, I'll send something out to you folks for the next meeting.
On this letter,
On this one, yeah, this one's still worthy of being sent.
and if you could mention that we were not consulted.
Right.
And since we're on this subject, do I have a minute?
Yep.
Kathy Lenatra actually reached out and she asked me to please share with the board that she is more than willing to be helpful for anybody who needed to reach out for different issues. Sue Moran, Josh's Sue Moran, the legislative aide, also reached out and said to let everybody know that, or remind us that she is still in position, and if anybody needs any assistance with anything, she can help with state agency issues. But policy issues should go to Kathy Lenatra, and they'll both be more than willing to be helpful while we have this vacant seat.
Right, and Representative Lenatra will be with us in person on April 10th.
Yep.
So is there people still in his office?
Sue's still there.
Yeah, they
She's
should
planning
be
on-
until the end of the term.
Yeah.
Because it's still under the auspice of the Commonwealth, so they still have to do services for us, either way.
And I have both of their contact information if anybody would like it.
Would have been nice to get a letter stating that.
Well, it sounds like we'll actually be getting a letter, so I just wanted to share that before the letter showed up.
I appreciate it.
Sent the letter from a lot of constituents. I got
Well, I got that, Josh's, yes, but Kathy was gonna send over a letter just to kind of keep us in the loop as well.
Well, just to give us a little bit of information of where we go from here, you know, I'm vacating the office, this is use my office,
Right.
that kind of
I
stuff.
mean, I got a letter, but I don't know if everybody got a letter.
All right, Bill, you ready?
It's frozen.
Oh, God.
I'll do a liaison update while we're
All right.
okay with that. Master Plan Public Forum, we just had this last Thursday, and working with the consultants, we're still gathering some inputs. If anybody's interested in putting any final inputs into the master plan, whatever, definitely do so by the end of this week. So go to www.pembrokemasterplan.com, go to the form to submit comments, feedback, and put your feedback in there after reviewing the master plan if you'd like to have your inputs considered. So by the end of this week, we're in the true home stretch, and we're about to wrap it up probably within the next meeting or so.
And the full draft is in there for people to read?
Yes, full draft is in there. If you go to the docs section, it should be right at the top, one of the top links there for the PDF to see the draft as it stands.
And tomorrow, VHB and I are doing a presentation for the town hall employees at 12 here.
That's right, yeah. Is it gonna be any other MPCC members to join you? or?
Some up in the air, so I don't want to say for sure,
That's
but
a new Microsoft thing?
VHB will be here.
No, it's brand new. There's an update that happened 2 days
There's
ago.
our IT department.
There it is. Volunteer IT department.
Maybe that's what we need.
Yes.
Keep people busy.
It's not a wizard.
it's just an option on
Did you unplug it and plug it back in?
It's always the fix. Restart it.
Is there any new business this evening? Are there any announcements?
Sure.
All right.
Community cleanup date is going to be on April 20th to celebrate Arbor Day. Details will come out on the Facebook page and be sent out on the website. Our group is actually looking into becoming a Keep Massachusetts Beautiful chapter town, which would offer support in the form of volunteers. They set up a website, create a newsletter, and opens up for some grants too, which would be nice. Fish fry date is May 5th. We are in need of volunteers. If anybody is interested in volunteering, please reach out. That would include high schoolers who need community service. That would be fabulous. Library sent some events over to share. They're having a Lego Club on March 12th, a chess club on March 20th, and Mystery Book Club is on March 21st. They're all drop-in events. You don't need to register in advance. And I think that's it. That's it.
All right. Anyone else?
Yes, sir. Big one that's coming up is the American Legion's having their meeting on the 28th of this month, and they're gonna be having Howard Carter, a Tuskegee Airman, to be here to speak with the Legion all are invited. It's almost like the Jim Gragiola event, where he came and the guy was in D-Day. So it should be a fun time, and he's in his 90s also, so hopefully we don't, you know, anything happen to him after the fact. But it should be a good time and really good questions, and see what he's gone through during World War II while he was in Tuskegee Airmen.
That'll be in this room, right?
In Veterans Hall, yes.
What was the date of that?
The 28th, 5 p.m., right here at Veterans Hall.
Okay, we're there. Sorry about that. It was a Windows update that happened 2 days ago. That's put some new stuff on my desktop, so. So budget, this is the first round of the expense side of the house. If you have questions on revenue, I will be doing a review on the revenue during our last meeting, when we get there. Tonight, we're gonna be talking about the moderator, town clockwinder, town memorial committee, Plymouth County Cooperative, Historical Commission, Conservation Commission, Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, unemployment compensation, reserve fund, legal, information technology, facility maintenance, retirement, which is mostly pension assessments, debt, and all categories, well, all categories related to the general fund. Medicare tax, property and liability insurance, health insurance, and life insurance. So, most of these are pretty simple. There will be no department heads here. I handle all of these departments. They basically don't have department heads, so. Moderator's budget, we are requesting for FY '25, $100. You will see the trend line, it's been $100 forever. So, town clockwinder, similar, we're requesting $1,600, and it's been between 15, 17, and the 1,600 for several years, so. Town memorial committee, I'm actually, as part of the cuts that we had to do to balance our budget, we did cut them. It's a modest cut of $150. We had a large increase last year because we had added some items to their budget to cover certain costs that obviously were required for the events they were having. So we've cut that. We think the $9,500 will be adequate to complete the tasks. You know, this is a very important event, a very important committee to the town, in that they plan significant events for the town. So I didn't want to take drastic steps. You'll see some others where budgets were actually cut in half. The ones that were cut in half, I think were supported, and in a good year, wouldn't have done that in case there were costs related which could come up in that department. And if that happens in this year, we'll be reviewing that for the fall town meeting, and reviewing that again next spring for the spring town meeting, in the event that we have to augment those budgets. And as we do expense updates during fiscal '25, I will highlight any of those as I have in the past. Plymouth County Cooperative, they provide a pretty good service, unbelievable service for $110. We're keeping that, although they haven't even assessed us in the last couple of years. We will be reaching out to them again, but, you know, they do some testing, they work with our folks, you know, really supportive for the town, so. Historical Commission, again, a budget that was cut. However, if you look at their actual expenses, in the last 7 years, it doesn't show out here, that only 1 year did they actually spend near where the budget is, and we're actually budgeting that amount, so. Conservation Commission, this is a budget I cut in half, but if you look at their actual trend lines, the 450 is supported by those trend lines. Something could come up where they had huge permitting or a big something going on outside of legal, because legal is covered within the legal budget. But, so the trend lines support this, I think you likely should support it. It isn't gonna impact operations. Planning Board, another cut, however, the trend lines support that. If you look at the screen, it's 1473, and that's actually the highest, I believe, in the last 6 years. I don't recall what year 7 backwards was, but clearly that. Same story for the Zoning Board of Appeals. We cut them to $1,800 also. They did have 1 year that exceeded the 1,800, so we're going to monitor this pretty closely. Don't anticipate that will happen. All of their big projects that the ZBA would be reviewing are very, very close to permit and will actually be permitted. One is already, the permit has been, the contract has been issued. and permit is going to be filed within the next week. The other one that they're reviewing is near complete. And then obviously the River Marsh and where they're going with that. So all of those projects will be complete from zoning review within fiscal '24. So we don't anticipate that this will be a major impact to them. If it is, we will augment the budget during the fiscal year. Unemployment compensation. So unemployment compensation has been all over the board. And this trend line is very difficult to follow because during COVID, we had a major problem with scamming of unemployment. In fact, I was on unemployment for a while. I was here every day during that time frame, but the town did get scammed. And we appealed all of those, and we actually won all of those appeals, so we got the money back. So when you look at FY '22 and '23, '22 shows a zero actual expense for assessment from the state. It really wasn't zero. We just had so many credits from the previous years that it turned into a zero. Same story with FY '23. It's closer to the $50,000 number, but the credits carried into '23. So it's difficult to project. I'm confident that the total budget of $95,000, $3,000 for the consultants that help us appeal those, and the $92,000 for assessments will be an adequate budget for this line
Can
item.
you hold there?
Sure.
So, there was some talk about losing positions
Mhm.
due to this budget.
Mm-hmm.
Has that been calculated into this figure?
So we took a look at where those are going, and yes, we think that the $95,000 will be adequate to cover those costs. We're a little concerned, and we'll monitor that. We also believe that the positions that are being cut some of them won't be seeking unemployment. A couple of them will be retiring, and on the school side, there's a demand for school teachers right now, so they will be getting other jobs and not on unemployment for a lengthy period of time.
Okay, I just didn't want a self-inflicted line item bump.
Yeah, I get it, exactly. Reserve fund, this is where I have a little bit of a concern. However, we just don't have the budget funds to put it there. And the trends on actual expenses on the reserve fund, if we can continue that, we're in good shape at this number. However, long-term, this number needs to be significantly higher. I had projected to increase this number $5,000 a year for in excess of 10 years to get us up where we needed to be. What the reserve fund covers is unexpected costs. So if we get a bridge failure, that $75K won't cover that. We will have to go back to call a special town meeting and use one-time funds to fix that bridge, i.e. free cash or any other available funds to do that. If we are over on a line item where we have a problem, such as the library with a couple of things for fixing the building, this year we'll likely do a small reserve fund to cover those costs. We'll be fine. So budget doesn't support it. Me throwing $80,000 at this year doesn't help us anywhere, and it wouldn't resolve that problem if we do get a bridge failure. We'd still have to call a special town meeting. So I was being prudent, and I think the $5,000 can be used better in another location with our budget in a tight year. Legal, I want to notify the board that I've been doing a review of legal, have identified what every community in the state and who they use as their legal counsel, or whether they do it in-house. Doing a review for the spring for your reappointment of legal. KP Law did inform us that they're going up $10 on their hourly fee this year. I don't anticipate, even though in '23 we spent $111,000. Those cases are resolved. A lot of those cases were heavy legal costs. We don't have those. We won't have those going into '25. So unless we get a surprise from a legal standpoint, the $105,000 is more than adequate to cover this budget. Information technology, this is one area where you do see an increase. We don't really have a choice. Our licensing numbers for our software is going up slightly. Our network support and services is going up. Our maintenance budget for maintenance of equipment is going up. Internet service is the big number. I have put into place a new program in town where we are connecting our buildings For example, the new community center will not have its own internet service. They are now connected to this building. We've upgraded that service so that we share that service. We share phone systems. We'll be sharing those phone systems and the internet services with the new public safety building. And in the long term, that will reduce our costs. Actually, in the short term, too. Because we'll do that, we'll have better fiber optic connections for our internet services, because a lot of our software is now internet-based versus hosted on local servers. So, and then the final item is the purchase of services. We don't anticipate a big change there. I looked at potentially cutting this because we have moved some of that. However, $2,500 is a very small number for what we get there, and when we look at some of the historical stuff, 22, we had a large purchase of services number. So strongly support the 143,685, and I hope the board will also. Facility maintenance, I'm going to go through this one in detail because there are some significant changes here. Custodial, we've had some senior custodians leave, which puts staffing at a lower tier level or a lower step level, which reduces those costs. It doesn't reduce the number of custodians. It just reduces our costs because they're at a slightly lower level. Overtime costs, we're projecting the same reason, the overtime, so you can get the same amount of hours for less money because their salary is slightly lower than the senior individuals. Longevity, we still have an individual that will be receiving longevity, and vacation buyback is in the contract, so we budgeted a portion of that. For wages and salaries, obviously that is a drop, but it doesn't change the level of service that we provide based upon that. On the bottom half is general expenses. If we look at where we're at, the first one is a clothing allowance for protective gear. That's contractual. We're relatively confident that we can get there. We reduced that budget because we changed that a little bit in our contract. So heating fuel, it's going up, but if we look at our history, we can support the budget. Water, same thing, going up, or this one's going to be a close one. We're going to take steps to conserve water as much as we possibly can, obviously. Rentals and leases, that's for equipment such as copiers. Alarm monitoring, obviously, is for the alarms. Telephone and wireless data, those are the new phone systems, greatly improved in we've had a couple of minor glitches with the implementation, but the service itself and our downtime is virtually zero. So we're very pleased with that. Postage, that is for the postage. For whatever reason, this has historically been in the facility maintenance budget. I'm not sure why, but historical, it works here. We are seeing postage increases, and a lot of those postage increases in 25 are going to be related to mailing ballots. So we really have to do this. I wanted to go aggressively after this, but I can't because of the ballot piece. There is a cost to that. And then supplies for maintaining our buildings, cleaning supplies are the custodial piece, and then fuel for the vehicle. We do have one very old vehicle that we use to pick up things, whether it's a light bulb or whatever. For a total budget of $124,100 on the expense side, and a grand total when we add salary and expense of $316,073. Plymouth County Retirement, this is our retirement assessment, and this comes through actuarial studies done by the county and approved by PERAC. PERAC is the State Retirement Board. They have to approve all retirements and actuarials and assessments. There will be a new actuarial completed next year, so we'll see some new information as we move forward with that. Can't really see it really well, but you can see that obviously the pension assessment and our expense lines match exactly. That's because we pay exactly what we have to based upon the actuarial studies. So getting into that a little bit deeper, here's the options that we have, and I want to stand up and see if this point is going to work for me. Yeah. So I want to focus down here on the FY25s. The county gives us an option of paying the semi-annual payments, and if you pay in one in July and one in December, you'll pay a total of $5,340,952. If you pay a single payment, in July, you pay a total of $5,241,631. What we always do is do the cost benefit. Is it cheaper for us to pay it once, or is it cheaper for us to leave that, half of that in the bank from July to December and save them the money? So if we look here, here's the assessment if we pay summer, 2 payments, July and December. Here's the assessment if we pay it all in July. The savings and the difference between the two is the $99K. How much interest will we earn on this amount from July to December is $53,409 based on estimated interest rates, which means if we make one payment in July, we save almost $46,000. So that's what we would like to do. That's what we're looking for.
Seems like a no-brainer.
Just want to share that because I always get questions about that. Not from this board, but from others. So moving on, debt is debt. It is obligations of the town. If you want, in your packet, you have the detail for each one of these lines. It is an obligation of the town that we will not fault on, so it's pretty much what we have to do. Here's where we're at. The 5th category is the short-term interest there. That is interest on about $9 million of borrowing that we're doing and waiting for the interest rates to come down so that we can save some funding long-term on that. If you have questions on the detail, we can go into that or not. I mean, it's up to the board. Property and liability insurance. So it's a small increase, but we made a large increase last year, and it didn't hit those numbers even though that we were threatened with a large increase. We did have a large increase, but not to the level that we're seeing there. So it's a modest increase this year. If you calculate that, it's just over 2%. However, they're threatening again a large increase. I'm currently doing a complete property and liability insurance review. Our current provider's been with us for a while. When I first got here, I looked at that, and they actually were the cheapest. We're doing that again just to be sure. Working with some of the larger municipal insurance providers in the Commonwealth to do that. Ironically, they're all relatively local to us, believe it or not. Bridgewater, Hingham, and here are the 3 that I'm looking at. So I don't anticipate we're going to see a large savings there. The municipal insurance market has really dried up. There's a lot of agents, but very few parent companies, the insurers that actually underwrite policies. So they're all going to be dealing with the same people. We'll probably likely have the same numbers, and if we get similar numbers and don't see a significant savings, we'll stay where we're at. So,
Question.
Sure.
On your workers' comp. When was the last time that we assessed our workers' comp class codes?
So we looked at them about 2.5 years ago. We do hire a consultant that works with us on our workers' comp. They work with us aggressively. That's what the contracted services line is. We actually look at them every year.
Because sometimes his strategy,
Yeah.
you can go broader, you can go narrower,
Yeah.
and you can save money depending on the strategy.
So
you use.
we looked at it because of the municipal services and some of the unique services that we provide. We're self-insured, first of all, so that doesn't play as big a role as you might think. However, those categories. We have tree workers, bucket guys, which is a big number that you have to be careful with, and obviously law enforcement. Public safety stuff with the 111F. So, and then ironically enough, one of the other big categories in recent years has been school teachers.
Sometimes there's a broader classification of just
Yeah.
school teacher versus this kind of
Yeah.
school teacher, and depending on where you go,
Right.
you might pay more or less.
And we do look at that. But we are self-insured, so want to make sure we understand that. The bottom one, the mega assessment line, I leave that there because I want to show that crossover, and unfortunately it doesn't show up because we have not paid mega in many years, but we are still saving money by going self-insured versus what we were paying for an insurer. We just have to be careful that we have enough in our 111F and our workers' comp stabilization funds and our annual funding to cover that cost. Life insurance, it's been the same forever. We have not really changed that. You can see where the numbers are. They're between 18 and 19.5. We're for budgeting 20. Don't anticipate we're gonna have any issues with that. And then finally, healthcare, I'm gonna break some news this evening. Tomorrow morning, the town of Pembroke will be voting on the mega healthcare insurance rate increase. We were told back in November to plan for 7.5%. Several of my colleagues planned for 10% because the numbers were in the red on actuals. I took Treasurer O'Brien's advice and planned for 7.5%, and then as we did the budget cuts, I cut it to 6%. The steering committee last week voted a 4% increase with taking some of the cash reserves of the Mayflower Municipal Health Group and applying it to keep rates down. It would be the same thing if we were to take retained earnings on the water rates, which we've done in my tenure here, to keep the rates from a massive increase. I am super excited about that. The Mayflower Municipal Health Group is really solid financially. They have almost $37 million in the reserves, which is really good. No reason we shouldn't, as an organization, do this. I am confident that the other members of the group will vote. We actually, because we share an employee with the town of Hull, and he is Hull's representative, and we have our own representative, we actually have, quote-unquote, 2 votes. Or air quotes, 2 votes. I don't anticipate any community is going to vote for a higher rate and leave that funds in stabilization, especially since the group is in such solid financial position. You don't know until it's voted. I'm planning on it. It's $173,000 savings, which I will be meeting with the superintendent to determine how we're going to work that out. Once the vote is done. I'll wait till after the vote tomorrow to do that. But I'm planning on the 4% increase, which is the $10 million, almost $100,000. So that's basically everything tonight. I want to share with the board where we're going. On the 20th, the budget's on the left. That is a very heavy night for you guys. Very heavy night. So I want to be clear. I think there's 3 budgets that are missing from this list. I forgot to add them back, and I apologize for that. So on the April 10th, we need to add, let's see, municipal inspections is not up there, right? Oh, it is, inspection services, so it is on the 20th. So on April 10th, we need to add both of the enterprise funds, the water enterprise and the
Solid waste.
solid waste, exactly. Thank you, Dan. So I am happy to answer any questions that the board may have. Tonight was covering all those budgets. A lot of them are what we call fixed services budgets, such as debt, healthcare, things that we have to provide via contract or via borrowing. We're not going to default on our debt. That would be a disaster for the community based on where we're heading. But happy to answer any questions or any comments that the board may have.
Could you send us these slides?
I can, sure. Yeah. We sent you the detail behind them, but that's kind of wokey. Yeah, I'll
Send
get,
them before the meetings or have them in the
Sure,
packet?
yeah.
So that way we can make notes and, and sometimes if we have a question on a particular slide, rather than interrupt your
Yeah.
flow, we can have
I-
a note
I
prepared
actu-
and go backwards.
yeah, absolutely can do that, because I have slides set up pretty much, except for a couple of the budgets, which we're going to look at based on the $173,000 savings. So I will send them to you, so you'll have them well in advance.
Would you like to?
Yep,
Thank you.
yep.
And so this is all the department heads will be out those 2 days, those are the 2 days?
The department heads will be here, and a lot of department heads in your next 2 meetings.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We
Any
do
other
have,
questions?
we do have a conflict with Dan Sullivan. He is actually going to be out of town. We may want to try to move him with your assent. I know it's the last night. You have a meeting on the 18th where you actually have to vote to post the warrants. But if you want to meet with Dan, I think he'll be back then. So we'll play that by ear. Maybe I'll move him up and have him come in on the 10th if he's around, so.
I do have another question.
Sure.
What is the balance in the Camp Pembroke account?
I have to go look. I can look for you. I'll get it for you. I'll email it to you. I don't think it's as much as you think.
I don't expect that it's massive,
Yeah.
but I ask
Mhm.
because what with some of the, cuts to some of the volunteer boards and committees and things like that, it seems like that's a place where if we need to dive into it a little bit.
Yeah,
And it doesn't seem likely based on the history,
Yeah,
but that's a
I
place where we
I
can
think
help them.
I would recommend we sit on that, and if we have to, we can use it during the year, because this board can actually use those fundings without appropriation, because it's gift funding, so.
Save it if we need it.
So save it, if we need to apply it during the fiscal year, we could actually do that, that's a good place to go
That's
get
good.
the money.
Is it about 500,000, is that so?
No, close, between 5 and 10.
Really?
I thought it was like
That's it?
8,000
it's-
something
it's
last
not-
time.
not a lot of
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
it was more than that for some reason. It's
No, I wish it were 500,000, because I'd be making some serious different recommendations. No, it's between 5 and 10, and I just don't know off the top of my head. If I had my book, I'd be able to pull it up for you.
That's fine, even between
Yeah.
5 and 10 is,
Yeah.
that's kind of roughly what I was looking for.
5 and 10, and that's at this board's discretion. The $75,000 reserve fund, that is, you'll have a meeting with the advisory committee, they'll discuss it and,
Yep.
and see if it's deemed appropriate or not. Okay, are there any other questions? Bill, do you want to just touch on the town manager's report?
Sure, a couple of things. I don't recall whether I talked about the Herring Run work, the culvert work there. They are essentially complete, except for the final landscaping piece. They have requested an extension to complete that work. We have granted the extension without additional funding. They asked for additional funding, and I said no, the delays were on them. They're claiming the delays were weather delays, but we could make a solid argument that the delays on them. So as it stands now, they do have the extension to complete the work this spring without further expense.
Are they gonna hide?
It's
Ish.
May 4th, they'll be done, fence out of there.
Please.
No, it's
It'll
April.
be done, okay.
Are they hydro seeding?
They are, yes, yeah, there's some hydro seeding, some plantings, and some minor finished landscape work. So, you know, it's tough. I mean, that work with the way the water is right now probably wouldn't work anyway, so. I debated with the consultants, we use engineering consultants for that project, and we went back and forth, and they said, they recommended that we do it, so we did it, but I said I would not pay them additional funds to do it, so.
So once that particular project is done, are there any other ancillary projects that are awaiting down there?
At Herring Run?
Herring Run.
Yes, there is a improvement of the handicap parking space, and some of the access stuff, but it's pretty minimal in comparison.
And that's funded now?
Yeah, it is already funded, yes.
When will that begin?
We will. We ran into a little bit of a glitch, because when we went before conservation, we told them that we were going to look at using impervious pavement, asphalt. And you cannot get impervious pavement, unfortunately, anymore in Plymouth County or this region at all. So we have to work through that. We're working through that and see if there are any cost changes and see whether they'll approve normal asphalt. So likely to be complete by the end of the construction season.
Okay. If there's nothing further for the town manager,
Oh, you want me to do that?
Yeah, public safety.
Okay, so we do have an updated date for public safety. The committee's been working aggressively to get plans. The plans are at a stage now where they can go to the cost estimator. In fact, they're going to the cost estimator. My watch is the 7th, but I know it's the 6th, tomorrow. We will have costs based on the plans and where they're at back next month. So we'll be able to assess where we're at. We think the committee has done a pretty good job in reining in scope creep, I'll call it. It's not really scope creep because we don't have a contract for construction yet, but reining in essentially design creep. And we're at where we went out when we went to town meeting for size, and so we're excited about that. We're working on all of the engineering pieces. They've done the massing for the building already. I don't know if you know what that means, but what to do is you get your design, make sure that the building will mass correctly based upon the design so that we can move forward and get those prices. So we will reconcile those, and sometime in the month of April, we'll be able to report back.
very good. Is there anything else for the town manager?
I'm good.
From this board? Okay, I just want to make sure I go down the agenda because we skipped around a little bit. I believe we have dispensed with everything on this except for community comment. Does this board have any community comment this evening? Hearing none. Does the public have any community comment this evening? All right, we have some upcoming issues. On March 20th at 7 PM, we have a poll hearing, a joint petition for National Grid and Verizon, add one poll. April 10th at 7 PM, we have Representative Kathy Lenatra appearing before us. April 24th, 2024, all final warrants are signed for April 30th posting. May 14th, 2024, annual town meeting. May 18th, 2024, annual town election. If there's no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening.